We're in the Develop module of Lightroom and I've selected this picture. Yes, I know I've used it before, but I think this would make a really good black and white. Before we start, a little bit about the image itself. It was taken on Holy Island, also known as Lindisfarne, which is off the Northumberland coast in the northeast of England, here in the UK. We've got Lindisfarne Castle in the distance. In the foreground we got some old fishing boats which have been cut in half and converted into storage sheds. Nifty recycling or what? Right, up to the basic tab. I'm going to come straight to the shadow slider, going to move this across, going to take it all the way over to the +100. You can see those shadow details now coming through clearly. Going to the highlights, going to drop this down, taking it to the left, trying to get a little bit more detail out of that rather bland sky. Going to take that to -100. If we look at the histogram, you can see there's a gap in our histogram. We've got some of the whiter pixels missing. So I'm going to come down to the white slider, going to click on this. We're going to move it over, and as that gets closer to the edge, I'm going to hold down the Alt or the Option key. Screen has turned black. Moving it across into this direction, you'll notice we've got blue on our black. We've also got blue triangles showing in our histogram. Don't take it all the way. You certainly don't want to see whites. That is where it's going to be clipped in the highlights. If I just release it, not looking good. So we're going to back this up. I'm going to take it all the way back until those warnings just go off, leaving it there. Right, doing the same for the black. Clicking down, pressing Alt or Option. With this you want to avoid those blacks, because that is where it is now clipped in the blacks of the image. In other words, there's going to be no pixel detail, it's just going to be solid color. So let's move this back into that area. Should that be solid tones? It is black and white after all. Right, coming to the exposure slider, moving this to the left just to darken things down, taking it to that area there. Looking pretty good so far. Just a little bit of clarity, moving it into this position here. Great stuff. Right, to give a little bit more definition in the sky, I'm going to come to the gradient tool. With the gradient tool, we're going to click down, going to drag it down in this area here. That looks pretty good like that. Coming straight to the exposure slider, moving this to the left hand side. You can see more detail coming through again. Coming to the black slider, just giving this a try, just moving it very, very slightly to the left. Looking good like that. A little bit here as well. Just moving those whites. Right, I think we'll leave it like that, so I'm going to click on close. Talking of click on close, let's give ourselves a little bit more space. Going to click on that little outward facing triangle. There it is, that's opened up our image even further. Okay, let's go straight down to lens correction. This is always my next port of call. With lens correction, I'm going to go to the basic tab. Oh, just note here, profile correction. This isn't ticked at the moment, but under the basic tab, you can enable profile correction, which we've just seen. You can also tick the remove chromatic aberration as well as the constrain crop. I'm going to leave this one unticked. I quite like using this. It's a way of just sort of automatically analyzing your picture. If I click on auto, give me a little bit of a twist there. Let's just switch it off. If I go to verticals, you can see the way that's looking. It's determined to swing me round into that direction. Level, yeah, looking at it, you can just see the horizon there. That is doing quite a good job, so I think I'm going to leave it. Right, let's go to the profile. Now this is for the lens. It will identify the make you are using. It'll identify the model you are using. Unfortunately, in my case, it doesn't. So what I need to do is come to the drop down menu. I need to go to Fujifilm. It's now telling me it's a Fujifilm Vipix 100. Not many profiles so far for my particular camera, but I do find the Fujifilm X100S works particularly well, so I'm going to click on that. You can also make any changes for the distortion. If I just click on it, you can see the way we can move that in or out. I'm going to double click to reset it. Vignetting, so if you've got any lens vignette, you can brighten it up, removing that lens vignette, or you can darken it down as well. We will be applying a vignette, but I'm going to use a completely different method. For now though, let's just switch it on and off. You can see the difference that's making to the image. Right, let's go to color. Now this is chromatic aberration. Once again, you'll notice it's already ticked because we did it under the basic tab. This is where it's going to remove any chromatic aberration. That's that fringe and you get round. Might be a cyan color, could be a purple color, and you can remove it by using the sliders here. I know with this image it's free from chromatic aberration, but I still like to leave the box ticked. Manual is where you can make any manual changes to the vertical, to the horizontal. Constrain crop, you'll notice it's unticked because we left it unticked under the basic tab, but if you tick this when you're making the corrections there, it'll remove those white edges. Right, for now we're going to go straight down to effects. No, not going to be applying a vignette here, but instead I'm going to come down to dehaze. Just looking at the castle, it's just a little bit soft. Now with the dehaze, as we start to move it over, you'll notice it also bringing more detail out of the sky. So I'm going to take it to that area there. Looks pretty good. Right, black and white. Hue, saturation, luminance. We're going to go to the saturation tab. Going to click on the extreme left of the red slider, moving it to the -100. Repeating the process, going all the way down the list here, down to aquas, to blues, to the purples, to the magentas, and there it is. There's your black and white. But we can fine tune it by clicking on the luminance. Now this is where we're going to change the brightness of the colors. We can click on the reds. We're not going to see a lot of difference with this. In fact, don't think there was anything red in the picture, so it's not showing anything, so I'm just going to double click and park it back on 0. The orange, yeah, a little bit subtle. You can see some sand there. You can see the shed area here, so I'm just going to brighten that up, taking it into the +63. That looks pretty good. Yellows, we should see a lot more. There it is in the grass. Moving it over to the right hand side to that area, that will do nicely. Greens, once again, we're in the grass, moving that over to the right into this position here. Aquas, yeah, just don't be afraid, grab hold of the slider, whack it back and forth. Not a huge difference, a little bit in the sky and to the bottom right hand corner, moving it in that area. Blues, we should see a lot more as we start to take this down. You'll notice the sky darkening down nicely. Don't take it too far, because that's where you can really degrade the image, and you notice that fringing coming around there. So I'm just going to back that up a little bit into this position, looking pretty good like that there. Right, purples, just a little bit happening around this position here, so I'm just going to move that into that area. Magenta, again, nothing much, double clicking just to reset it back to its 0. Right, next for the vignette, we're going to be using the Radial Filter. I'm just going to fold the histogram up out of the way just to give us a little bit more space. I'm going to click on the Radial Filter. Down it goes, bringing my cursor out. You'll notice the little cross in the center. Going to come roughly to the center of the image, clicking down, dragging it down and outwards into that area. Coming and clicking on that little grab handle in the center. Going to drop it down. Coming to the grab handles, you'll notice the way it comes out equally to the top and the bottom. That position there looks pretty good. Just bringing it around like this. There it is, looking good like that. You'll notice as well the feather by default is 33. If you bring your cursor over the center, it's showing it a little bit like the quick mask in Photoshop, and look just how far it comes into the image. It's down round about that area, so the feather is coming in. Yes, you could reduce it, but what we're going to do is we're going to leave it set on that. I'm going to come, because I've got a bit of a cunning plan with this, moving the dehaze once again across to the right hand side just to darken things down in the sky, bringing more detail out there. Coming to the blacks, grabbing hold of the slider, moving that to the left, again getting more detail out of those clouds. You can see the way it's darkening down other parts of the picture, but I'm not going to worry too much with this for the moment. Just moving that highlights across slightly to the right. Exposure, yeah, exposure, just dropping that down slightly. And if I just switch this on and off by clicking on the turn off radial filter, you can see there's the before, there's the after. You can see as well the way we've darkened around this area here, and this is why I like using this method so much, is we can now click on brush. We can come down to erase, clicking on erase. I've got a 17, you can see there it is there. A little minus in the center telling me it is the erase brush. Got the feather set to 34, that's the distance between that brighter inner ring and the slightly dimmer outer ring. Got the flow rate set to 88%. I can now click down. When we click down, you can start to remove this area around here. I'm just going to brighten it up in that position, just bringing it in slightly as well. Not going to bring back the detail in the rock. Just bringing my cursor over that center, you'll notice the way the quick mask has actually started to disappear around this area here. A little bit in there just to brighten up. Right, round here we go, and just brightening up the grass around this area, coming up into the grasses there as well, coming over that cabin part. Once again, just bring your cursor over, see if you need to bring back any other little bits and pieces. Just taking a look. Quite like that area there, so I think I'm going to leave it. Also going to come up, making sure I've got the detail in the castle, so just going over that, you'll notice that brighten up. Once again, just taking a look. Yeah, that looks pretty good like that. Right, now that we've done that, we're going to click on close to fold that up out of the way. Let's come to our tone curve just to apply some finishing touches. Now I've got the regions showing here. If you haven't got the regions, if yours looks like this, just click on that little square. There they are. Clicking on the highlights, moving it to the right. You'll notice the way it's just bringing it up into that position. Just taking it a little bit more. Lights, just a touch or two of this. The darks, bringing that down, and the shadows, bringing it into this area. That looks just about it. Like the way this is working so far. Mind you, I have just spotted a bus dying to get in on the action. Just going to click on that. We're going to pick up the spot removal tool. I've got it set on clone. We've got the size, if I just bring it out, 46, feather of 40, opacity 100%. Going to bring it over the image. Going to click, and I'm going to drag it across. That's now going to shoot off. It's going to identify pixels from this area. Racing back, yeah, that's done quite a good job. Just going to drop it, no, lift it up, he says, taking it in the opposite direction. And you can see the preview there. That position there should match in. Yeah, like that. Clicking on close. There it is, job done. Clicking down with my little hand, out we pop. There is our black and white image. This is all totally adjustable, but as with everything, put it aside, leave it for a couple of days. Look at it then with fresh eyes. You can then make any adjustments. For example, if I just come to the hue, saturation, luminance, perhaps under the luminance tab, just going to darken down those yellows just a touch with that, a little bit in the greens as well. That looks better. Perhaps the blues, perhaps just a tad more with the blues there. Yeah, looking pretty good like that. One other thing you can do is you can pick up the adjustment brush. With the adjustment brush, I'm going to come straight down to clarity. Going to take the clarity to 100. This texture here, I really like that, so I'm just going to go over that like this, just to bring through those textures a little bit more. Something in that area. And clicking on new, just going to repeat the process. You can apply this as many times as you want. And that just adds, yeah, I like what that's doing to the image. Again, if I just switch it on and off, you can see there it is. There's the difference, the before and the after. Clicking on close, there it is. Go on, give it a try. If I press Y on the keyboard, we can see the before and the after. Quite a dramatic change. I think it makes a really good black and white image. Pressing Y one more time, pressing L to dim down the background, pressing L to put it on a black screen. Go on, give it a go. Until the next time, it is happy imaging, and take care.